Okay, I guess we're rolling. Hi, welcome to Adventure in Art. My name is Ben Staley, your resident talking head.
You might have to steer this badass. We got some wind on us now. So just keep her dead into the wind, and you should hear it flapping. Then you know you're into the wind. It'll just start flapping like mad. So you can go a little more to your starboard, a little more to your starboard.
Here we stand wide of these boats.
Yeah, you're good. Oh yeah, you're good. You can go more this way to starboard. We want to hear this thing start flapping, getting closer, and just keep it so it's flapping. A little more to your starboard. Okay, can you go back to port? There you go. That's it, you just wanted to keep popping like that. Perfect. Yep, just like that, keep her popping.
This video is a kind of behind the scenes making of breakdown about the recent one-day documentary that I put up on my channel. If you haven't seen it, there's a link below. It'll be the first thing you see after the description. You could watch it now. You could watch it when this is over.
You smell the sea breeze now. Get the hell out of town.
Yeah, I haven't been making as many YouTube videos this year because I have a big project going on in Alaska, and I've been up there monthly, every month of the year. Haven't done really any personal work up there, very little, because I've had very little time, but it's good to be back in Alaska. If you're a longtime viewer of the channel, you've probably seen my friend Charlie before. There's quite a few videos on the channel about me and Charlie having some adventures.
God, we have fun, Ben.
Yeah, man, it's fun.
You know, you're between assignments, so it's like no pressure work. It's like,
No, this is...
you know, and I'm just having a weekend, and I'm not out to kill anything unless something happens.
Basically, every chance we get to be around each other, it's a treat. We always like to hang out. We like to go do something rad. It's about conversation. It's about fellowship. Maybe some photography's involved. Maybe some hiking, maybe some activity. What do you think, Charlie?
I think it's going to be great. The trees are bigger around than my waist. It's always good then.
Charlie's kind of like the big brother I never had. He's a kindred spirit. He's an artist. He's a poet. He's a photographer. He's a writer. He's all the things. And although he moved to Alaska after I was already born there, he's lived a very, very authentic Alaskan life. Like, he's done it. I kind of grew up that way. Sled dogs, horses, off-grid, didn't have a flushing toilet till I went to college, that kind of thing. Charlie lived it too, way in the back country, out in the Bering Sea, so he is a man of real experience, and he's a special dude. He's my buddy. Well, Charlie's recently retired, and he's living on a sailboat down in Seward, Alaska, and I've just been hearing all about his boat when we talk on the phone, and so first chance I got, I had a weekend off. I got up early in the morning, drove down to Seward to hang out with Charlie for the weekend. I knew we were gonna go out on his boat, and I knew I was gonna film something, but that's all I knew. I brought a backpack full of gear. I thought, oh yeah, I'll have a BTS camera. I'll shoot with this new anamorphic lens I got. Bada bing, bada boom. It'll be this big, huge thing. And plans changed, I guess. I got there early in the morning, left Anchorage around 6 a.m., showed up there around 8:30 or 9 or something in the morning. We went and got some breakfast at a little cafe, caught up on where we were both at. And then we went back to the boat and we just started going. And I just decided, F the BTS. I just want to have this one little camera, one little lens. I just want to focus on seeing what unfolds in front of me, what kind of story I can create, what kind of images I can capture. And that's all I want to worry about.
Extra tie-up lines for when the wind sheet blows, especially from the northwest, because I hang away from the dock here. So that's down to one. I'm gonna go up front and take care of an extra line up there. And we'll shove this puppy off.
I didn't even have any idea about what I was gonna make with what I was shooting, what would happen, what would unfold, would there be a story, would it just be a bunch of beauty shots? What am I doing? Those questions are certainly relevant, and they're certainly important if you're a storyteller or a filmmaker or a photographer or whatever, but they're also not. And let me try and explain this, and let me try and put you in my head. It's important to just be there. It's important to be alert, paying attention, and responding to things as they happen. So I'm going to tell you this. There was only one time in the entire video that I made where I asked Charlie to do something again. And I just decided going in, I'm not going to interrupt him. I'm not going to ask him what he's doing next. Sometimes he would tell me, sometimes not. And I'm just trying to keep up. And much of the time, I actually missed the beginning of things that were happening or whatever, and I'm just like, oh darn, I was in the wrong place. Oh darn, I didn't know how that was going to happen. Sails going up, things like that. Untying from the dock, things like that. Turning the darn sailboat engine on, things like that. There was one time where he put on a rain jacket or a warm jacket because it was pretty cold out there. And mid-May, they're having a late spring. It was chilly. It was really chilly. I was wearing a down puffy jacket all day. He reached inside the door and grabbed his jacket and started putting it on. I said, Charlie, wait, can you do that again? Just because it was a continuity thing, and I just wanted to see him put the jacket on again. So, okay, so that's just me spewing out what's in my head. Let's get into the technicals, and then I'll talk more about the creativity. How's that? So this is what I shot the whole thing on. This is my Lumix S1 Mark II. At this kind of scale of camera for doing video work, I think it's the best thing out there. Have I used everything? Heck no, but it's great for me. CF Express Type B, ProRes if I want it, open gate, which is important because I am using an anamorphic lens. This is a brand new DZOFilm Arcana 45mm full frame anamorphic. I didn't even really look up the specs. It's not a review or anything that I could tell you more. What is this thing? It's T2.1, so it's pretty darn fast, full frame. That's a 1.5 squeeze anamorphic. If you don't know about anamorphics, you probably do. I'm going to tell you in 10 seconds. It squeezes the image together, and then in post you stretch it back out and you get this widescreen CinemaScope kind of look. You can see the front. The characteristic of anamorphic lenses is that they have the oval bokeh. The out of focus parts of the image are typically oval shaped. The other characteristic with these lenses is a horizontal streak, oftentimes blue. The streak and the flares in this lens are more neutral colored, so they're not blue. I actually kind of like that. It's not as distracting. I find the flaring on this lens pretty contained, but not unpleasant. The coolest thing about this lens is it's so small. And by the way, they didn't give me this. I bought this thing. It was $1,099. I didn't even get a discount, nothing. I just bought it. Just sight unseen. I'm like, that looks like a cool lens for me. Like maybe I can use it for my behind the scenes kind of content, filming myself, put it on a tripod, let's go. It's a good 45mm, pretty good focal length. When you stretch it out, then it's going to have, I think horizontally, it's going to be approximately a 30mm by the time you 1.5 stretch it out. So I've barely had this thing. This is the first time I've really used it filming someone else. I really love it. I love how small it is and how compact. Fits right in the backpack, easy. What is this big purple thing? This is a Mofage adapter because this lens is a PL mount. This is a variable ND adapter, so it's got this little dial here. You can have basically an internal ND, so it's really great for cine lenses. I freaking love this adapter so much. Let me get my lens back in here. Tilted cage on the S1 Mark II. I like this top handle. I typically keep it kind of reversed like this because then I put my eye up to the viewfinder. I can see and the handle's not sticking me in the forehead. This thing has a really great EVF, so that's awesome. Lumix cameras are great for anamorphic. They also do an internal, not a de-squeeze, but they'll de-squeeze the monitor so you can actually look at the image, how it will look once you de-squeeze it in your editing program. What did I do for audio? I used these guys, the Rode VideoMic Pros. This one's got a little windscreen on it, but the one I actually used on Charlie, let me put this away. It's probably recording me and screwing up my audio right now. I love these things, but I've got one on me right here. laughed. I'm probably screwing up my audio here too by just touching this thing. Anyways, that's what I used. I taped one to the inside, one of these little lav mics. I taped it to the inside of Charlie's life vest, stuck the other end in his pocket, let it go all day.
An expert would have this thing just flying. But me, the turtle, look at that jib. Jib doesn't know what it wants to do.
We were out there 6-7 hours, and on the way back in when Charlie was putting the sails away, it finally ran out of batteries. These things are awesome. I didn't monitor the audio all day. I just plugged Charlie in, plugged it into the camera, let it go. Super, super stoked about the audio. These Rode Video Mic Pros are amazing. Can't recommend them enough. No, they haven't sponsored me. They're just a product that I love. I've used a lot of wireless lavs. These are my favorite of all time. Have I used everything? No, but I think you can't go wrong with them. They're pretty affordable. I think around 300 bucks. Yeah. So that's kind of it. Really simple. One camera, a cage, a top handle, wireless audio into the camera, one single anamorphic lens, 45 millimeters. Let's go.
I'm going to sail us out of this rain, Ben.
Okay, yeah, it's coming. I can sort of feel it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm going to try a tack. We'll see how this goes. Pointer up.
Like I was saying earlier, this is like my favorite thing to do. You have to really pay attention. You've got to have heightened senses. You've got to be listening. You've got to be watching what's happening, trying to anticipate what Charlie's going to do next. I try and not interrupt him. Of course, he's talking the whole time because we're friends and he's a talker and he likes to tell stories, so that's great. But I'm actually just trying to kind of fade into the background as much as I can. And I'm just trying to get as many shots as I can to try and tell the story and just think about what are all the little pieces I'm going to need to intercut his talking and how can I actually tell this visually as a story, as like the flow of a day, as an arc, a story arc, a beginning, a middle, and an end. I will come clean. The very next morning, it was sunny out. Because the day that we went sailing, it was very overcast for much of the day. The sun came out on the way home and I didn't really use any of those shots. But the next morning I realized, I didn't really get shots of the boat tied up at the dock. And so I just went around and I was walking around the dock and getting shots of the boat tied up. Of course, the sun's out. And of course, I've only got a 45 millimeter, so it's not like I can zoom in and I can't really get close and there's other boats all around. You know, it is what it is. It's all I could do. So, and then I came back to the boat and Charlie is sitting out on the roof of the boat drinking his morning coffee. And I was just like, oh, this looks so badass. So I got, you know, half a dozen shots of Charlie sitting there drinking his coffee. Of course, we're talking while I'm doing it. I don't really care. I really wanted to put these shots in the film. And so I managed to squeeze them in the part where he's talking about the boat and the character of the boat. So that's my one little kind of cheat. And technically, those were not all done in one day. Those were done the next morning. But, you know, I feel pretty good about it. And I could have done without them. I just wanted the shots in because they look so cool. And you can really see that anamorphic characteristic and the horizontal flares from that low morning sun. Really like the lens. It's got a little character. It's not super crazy like the Atlas, the high-end Atlas lenses that I use a lot. They have a lot more character, more vintage character. These are a little more tame, but enough. And they've got like enough of that anamorphic sauce that I'm super happy to use them. And I like how small they are and full frame. I actually kind of want the other two focal lengths. I don't know if I'm going to run out and buy them, but I think they're probably something I'm going to pick up in the future because I just kind of want the whole set. And it would have been nice to maybe punch into the 75 occasionally. Like that would be pretty cool to have something a little longer and a little more compressed. But it's also good just to go out with one little camera, one little lens, see what you can do, see what you're made of, see what you got. That's kind of it. There was a lot of stuff that I cut out of the video. Charlie talking in Italian, talking about how he goes to Italy and he's working on the language. We were actually trying to visit this one cove he wanted to show me. And I thought that's where we were going to go. Apparently it's really scenic and we were going to sail into this cove and sail around, but it kind of socked in and the weather covered it up. So I cut all that stuff out of the video. I had basically over 2 hours of footage from maybe 6 or 7 hours out at sea sailing around. After we were done sailing, we came back, we hiked in down to the brewery in town, had some dinner, hiked back to the boat. I slept on the boat, and got up the next morning, got those shots that I told you about. And then we were gonna go hiking with one of Charlie's friends. It turned out to be kind of a group thing. Maybe you'll see some of those photos later, at a later time on the channel. I'm not sure, maybe. But we went for a pretty good hike, saw a little black bear, saw a bunch of bear poop, hiked to a really cool lake. And then I was, kind of debating, should I stay another night on the boat or should I go back? The next day was Memorial Day. And then talking to Charlie, I realized, oh, we're in Seward. There's going to be a whole bunch of traffic going back to Anchorage the next day. So I just decided to drive back on Sunday night. I'm glad I did, because apparently the traffic got really bad the next day and they shut the highway down. And I'm just glad I didn't have to sit in traffic all day. It was just a little over 2 hours back. I got back, it was about dinner time. I sat on the couch in my Airbnb and cracked a couple beers and just started editing right away. I was so fired up about the footage. Here's how I approach the post-production for something like this. I just take all the footage and I dump it into a timeline and I stretch it out so now I can see what it really looks like. Now I've shot everything in log, this Panasonic Vlog, which I love. But right away, I'll just put a LUT on it right away so I can look at it and it's not all faded and it's more inspiring looking. I can actually see some real contrast. I make my layer real thick so I can see the audio waveforms. And by looking at that, I can see the parts where Charlie's talking and where the parts where he's not talking, generally. So then I'll scrub through kind of fast. Sometimes I watch it in real time. Sometimes I just scrub through. And there's some stuff where I just keep the camera rolling and I'm moving. And a lot of times I won't turn the camera off. Sometimes I do. So there's a lot of stuff I just cut out. Yes, I know I'm filling up a hard drive, but I find that this is just a habit that I have from doing documentaries. And a lot of times you want to keep the camera rolling because you're recording audio into the camera and you don't know what somebody's going to say. And if you're not rolling when they say something, you're never going to get that again. And I didn't really want to interrupt Charlie or have him say things again. I wanted this all to be in the moment. So I keep the camera rolling a lot, unless I know he's doing something else. So there's a lot of stuff that is just in between, it's moving around, and I know I'm gonna cut that out. So what I'll do is I'll just do a quick pass, and I just try and just cut out all the crap that I know I'm not gonna use. And this usually takes care of about half the footage. Now I have it down to about an hour. Then I go through and I start pulling out the pieces of dialogue that I want. I move those all to the front. And then I start moving those around. Generally, for this story, I kept it pretty much linearly. I didn't really actually move the dialogue pieces around much. It kind of goes start to finish, and that's what I like about it. But a lot of times, depending on what I'm doing and what the project is, you'll take a soundbite from over here, and you're moving them around, and you're cutting them together in a way to make a story. So that's what I do. And then once I have the story, and look, there's no transcript. If you're doing a big documentary project, you probably have a transcript, and then you're just looking through that and you're searching keywords and you're finding statements and then you're assembling it that way. I do it all in Final Cut Pro. And then once I have the story there, then I start slapping B-roll on top. And the B-roll here, it's a beginning to end kind of day journey. So the B-roll is mostly in order too. Of course, we start off, the engine's running, we're motoring out of the harbor and way out to sea before we even put the sails up. So it's all linear that way. I filmed coming back to the sails coming down. I filmed Charlie tying the boat up, but I didn't take it that far because I didn't think it was necessary. I wanted to leave Charlie at sea at the end because that's just how I wanted to do it. And I didn't know I was going to do that until I really got there. I thought, okay, it's going to be the full arc of the day. But once I got into it and I found the one quote that I put at the end, which is, the only, see if I can say it. What did he say? It was just brilliant. It's such a poetic Charlie thing to say, but he said, the only thing standing in the way of me and an endless horizon is courage.
The only thing between me and an endless horizon is courage. It's a hell of a thought.
That just applies to so much in life, you guys. And I'm just like, Charlie just dropped some life-changing wisdom, and I hope viewers take that away from the video, because I feel like that's what the whole thing is leading up to for me. And just to get into this now, we're talking about editing, but it's like, for me, here's a dude that's basically retired from his job this year, and he's 70 years old, and he is out there like an 18-year-old kid learning how to sail, trying to do something new and scary for the first time, trying to learn new skills. And of course, he's been on boats his whole life. But sailing alone in Alaskan waters when you're not super experienced, that's scary and that's intimidating for people. And he's just going for it, and he's doing little baby steps as he gathers and gains skill and gains knowledge and gains experience. And he's not afraid to do that. And he's not afraid to do that at a time in his life when most people are hanging it up and not doing anything. And that's why Charlie inspires me, and I hope he inspires other people too. So whether you're 18 or 80 or whatever, anywhere in between, it's like there is no expiration date. You know, as long as you're physically able to get out there, you should be pushing yourself. You should be learning new things. You should be trying to do everything that you want to do in life. And Charlie has that hunger and that drive, and I think that's why we get along so well. And that's what I love about him. He inspires me, he pushes me, and I like to think that hopefully I do the same for him. Wow, I didn't know that was coming out. I didn't really have a plan or a script for this, so we're all over the place. Color correction, okay. I don't use DaVinci, I don't use anything else. I do everything in Final Cut Pro. So I put everything in an adjustment layer. The first thing I'll put in there is color wheels adjustment. And I put this on before I do my log conversion LUT. Why? Because once you put the log conversion LUT in, you are compressing the dynamic range. So I want to make my color adjustments before I do the log conversion LUT. Which one do I use? I use actually a VariCam LUT that was put out by Panasonic. I downloaded it off their website, and it works great for any vlog. I actually find it really pleasing. It's the best one that I've used. Not that I've used them all. I like it. So I do that, and then I can go back. If I don't like how it looks, I can tweak the contrast, the darks, the lights with the color wheels, and it happens before the LUT hits it. So then now I have the image exposed properly. I have the color just neutrally how I want it. Then I'll put on a look LUT, and I'll drop this on, and I'll audition several things. The one I use for this is designed to make the image look like the movie Suicide Squad, like the way back one. And I like it because it's almost kind of a teal and orange thing. It's real cool greens. And so I put this on, and I generally dial it back to like 30 or 40%. I'm barely using it. I'm not using it at full strength because it's too overpowering. That's how I get the look. Then, once I have all this on there, sometimes I'll go back with individual clips. I'll adjust the exposure before the LUTs hit them. Does that make sense? Did I explain that properly? Sheesh, that's like work, man. For me, the way that I work and the way that I've arrived at after all these years of making films, making TV shows, and making YouTube is like, before I can really get into the story and really get into the feel of things, I need to know what the music's gonna be. I don't always know beforehand, sometimes I do. For this one, I didn't really know what I was gonna use for the sound. I knew it was gonna be really important, and what I arrived at is this sample pack that I bought with my own money from a service called Multiply Sound. It's the chapters pack, and it's basically a bunch of really cool tonal sounds. So there are some tracks, like some kind of pad tracks and things, and then there's just a whole bunch of tonal sounds, cello, violin, piano, there's some vocal stuff. And so it's really cool because you can actually pick the key that you want. There's like, I don't know, 10 or 11 or 12 different keys. And by the way, I don't know an A from an E, from a C, from a G in terms of audio. Like, I really know very little about music. But I do know that if you start picking these samples and these sounds, they need to all be in the same key or it's gonna sound wonky. So I do that, and then I just pull in a bunch of cello sounds and I just start laying them in where I think they need to fit within the story. Then I pull a bunch of vocal, ambient kind of, humming and that kind of stuff that you hear, and I start laying that in where I want, and maybe a little percussion here and there if I think I need it. And I'm basically kind of mixing and making a soundtrack almost in real time as I'm going through to accent certain things or to fill in some gaps. And I really love doing this so much, you guys. I freaking love doing it. Okay, so we covered the camera, the lenses, the audio, the post-production a little bit, and even the music. What did I miss? Is there anything else I'm not covering? If I could just make videos and little films like this movie, The Sailor, and that was just my whole YouTube channel and that's all I did, that would be just fine for me if, you know, just like once a month or twice a month I had another little film. Because the truth is, went and shot that in a day, came home the next day, had it half edited like within a couple hours that night because it was fresh in my brain. And then of course I was working all week and then I got home the next weekend and I finished it. So really I probably spent, I think time-wise, spent a whole day shooting it basically, and then probably spent 10 or 12 hours post-production working on it. And that's it. And is it perfect? No, it's rough around the edges. You can see, you know, when I'm shooting, it's very in the moment. You can see in certain places where I'm tweaking the focus, or I'm adjusting the exposure in the middle of it. You know, it's all very in the moment, adjusting, dealing with changes in lighting, changes in what's happening and all that. But I don't care. I like that. I think it adds to it a little bit. It's not perfect. It's very in the moment. Of course, I could have cut a lot of my mistakes out, and I chose not to. But I would love to be able to just make films like this all the time, and that was just all the channel could be. I mean, I guess I could. It's just that I don't always have someone as cool as Charlie to go film, and I can't always like go out on a sailboat or whatever. But I love making little films like this. I appreciate you that tuned in and stayed this long. And if I missed something or there's something I didn't cover or whatever, you want to talk about it, leave me a comment. This is getting pretty long, so I guess I better cut out of here and get to work. You guys get to work too. Get out there and do something. Be brave. Take inspiration from Charlie. If something scares you, if something makes you nervous, if something intimidates you, that's a good thing. Lean into the discomfort, lean into the fear, and go after the things you want to go after, the things that inspire you. It doesn't matter your age, it doesn't matter where you are, what you have in life. Go for it. All right, that's my message. See you soon.
Not sure I did the best job of covering that, but whatever.
Getting the sails up? It's pretty, yeah, it's kind of wild. I didn't know either. I'm supposed to know, right? But I had no idea. It always, we're moving. I'm happy. So anyway, a beautiful day out here, and just calm seas, but enough wind that we're moving under sail, so it's beautiful.
Yeah, I bet it is.
Yeah, I wish you were here. Man, it'd be cool.
Yeah, I do too.
Oh, yesterday,